There you go. Ooh. Dum, da, da, da.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to High Heels Happy Hour. I'm still Christina.
And I'm Ingrid.
And today we're starting our reset series. We did the vacation series. Now we've come home from vacation and now we need to reset. But I think it's because it's half the year has gone by and all of a sudden it's like, oh no. And I think the first half is always, you think you have all the time in the world and then you don't. So I think it's good that it's mid-year reset and see where we're at, but also kind of reset in midlife. Since we've been talking a lot about, that as well, since we're mostly females. And some of you very enlightened men listening to us. How was your week? We have a great guest today, so stay tuned. But before we introduce her, check in.
The week was good. It's great. Summer. I mean, we're getting ready to go on vacation. Summer in full effect. Still busy as always. So it's been just great and busy. That's
good.
How about you?
I did a little pre-launch of my new society membership club that I kind of hinted about, but I'll tell you more. But I did my founding members launch, which Ingrid is a part of. And I'm super excited because it's everything I'm passionate about in one place. So cool.
I love it.
All right, and one thing I'm passionate about, I'm going to start because I'm wearing my hack and I'm going to take it off after this. So, do I look like a security guard?
A sexy security guard.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you. So this is my weighted vest that I wear when I'm out walking. Well, you can wear it around the house too, but I kind of like it when I'm out walking. And so it's great for just overall strength to increase. Walking is great, but in Florida, since we don't have hills, it's hard to kind of bump it up and increase it. So a weighted vest was something I heard a lot about. And I thought, well, I'm going to give that a try. And I love it. I'm even contemplating bringing it to Europe, not in my bag, because I don't have 12 pounds. This is a 12-pound vest to spare in my luggage. But I can wear it at the airport and I can just put it under my seat. I think I'm going to have to do some research on that.
Yeah.
But I do recommend, and they don't have to be 12 pounds. They come to 5 pounds, 8 pounds, 10 pounds. But it really increases the work a little bit. You're still walking, still not high intensity, but it just increases, and you're carrying weight. So you are putting more pressure on your bones, which is what we need, and your muscle. I love it. I use it a lot for walking dog too. Yep.
It'll come in handy when you walk my dog too.
Yes. I'm going to babysit. I'm going to dog sit. But no, I really recommend it. You do look like a security guard. I like this one. There's a lot of different ones out there. This one has a pocket in the front. I like that. I will link it in the show notes to the one I bought from Amazon.
I love it.
Yes. That's my hack.
All right. And my hack is, I don't know if anyone's like me that got a planner to start at the beginning of the year. And as we reset, you kind of maybe skipped a couple months that you didn't do. So what I did was I cleared out all those pages. So I don't feel bad.
Good. That's good.
That I didn't do.
That they're blank and you didn't fill it in. Oh, that's good. I like that.
So I kind of started
fresh. That's good.
So I was really excited. I was like, wow, I'm so proud of myself.
That's a good idea.
Looking at all my blank pages, I can look at what I can do now.
Yeah.
So that's my hack.
That's your hack.
Yeah.
So today we are going to talk women wellness, midlife, stuff happens, and what can we do to optimize our health and reset our health. And our special guest for today is Shea Whitney-Grannell, and she happens to be my health and fitness coach. So I think I shared that a couple of weeks ago that I did hire a coach to really learn about nutrition and tracking and fitness wise, the personal trainer, what to make sure I'm on the right track of what I do, and it's been great. She's the one that's how I learned how to track my food and really see the macros, and I think I've learned a lot, even though, I mean, I've always been interested, so I knew a lot before, but I know this is something everyone can benefit from. But also she specialized. So let me tell you about Shea. Well, her titles, she's a personal trainer and a nutrition coach. She's also a certified menopause specialist. So peri and postmenopause, women's health coach. So she really specializes exactly in on these women like us and women like most of our listeners. So
every woman, I'm assuming, goes through premenopause and menopause.
Every woman that's lucky enough to live, yes.
So if you're a woman, you have to.
If you're a woman, it's gonna happen. So, without further ado, let's bring on in Coach Shea. How are you?
I'm great, and this is just a treat. Like, it's really fun to do something like this on a Monday.
Yes, it's the best way to start the week. That's why we record on Mondays.
And I love your show so far. I have already been kind of doing a little crash testing on Spotify, and I love it.
Good, love it. Thank you. Welcome. So before you heard a little bit what we talked about, but instead of me saying everything you do, why don't you just tell us a little about yourself and kind of how you ended up doing what you're doing?
Sure. So as a young girl and child, I was an athlete, and so I competed a lot. I was very, very focused when it came to the sports. And so that kind of just kept me into how my body ran and how good it ran sometimes and how it didn't run so well other times. And then when I went off to college and started living on my own, did I realize how diet plays such a huge impact on my own personal life. I was raised by a Southern belle. So with the Southern belle, you get a lot of Southern cooking. And my world was just opened to diet and nutrition as I started to learn, how to cook for the first time, tasting foods from all over the world, because I also traveled a lot. And I was just like, this is just really, really great, to expand my knowledge really about food at first. And then I did work with a lot of humanitarian aids, and I always had in me that desire to always help people, and so I was helping a lot of people throughout my 20s, and I thought I was going to end up being single for the rest of my life, to be honest, because I didn't even meet my husband until I was 33, and I know everybody was a little bit worried about me. But as I started to age, I started to become more familiarizing myself with how to keep myself healthier, because I knew I was going to potentially be an older mom. And so that really led me into understanding nutrition, not just by, enjoying food, but really understanding the concept of good nutrition. And then also, I moved away from the sport, but then I grew to really love training and strength training and really focusing on something different, and so that's kind of what led me into the pursuit of becoming a coach, especially after I had our first child. So.
Awesome. Yes. And now she gets to coach people like me.
Yes. But it did, it really did unravel over a period of time. And like I said about my first child, I didn't start having babies until I was 37. Okay. And when you're older, at least for me, I started to really dig deep about how to have a baby when you're older, because we know that egg quality changes. We know that we're not ovulating like a normal pattern like you do in your 20s, because your body, you're aging. You cannot stop aging, just can't stop it.
Yeah.
And then after our second child was born, I hired a coach. So that was nearly 9.5, 10 years ago. And that was an invaluable thing for me to have. And I was like, you know what? I could do this. This is making sense. And I can help women, and I can, really dive into their nutrition with them and their fitness and really support women like this woman has supported me. And so I went off and got a ton of certifications, and I started my own business.
That's awesome. Sounds like us. Like, we could do this.
Yeah.
I can do this.
So what do you think today is the most fun aspect of your job, or what makes you tick every day and love getting up in the morning?
I really think, I don't think, I know, it's empowering other women, and it doesn't happen overnight, nothing happens overnight, nothing's a quick fix, but it's when women actually feel like they are educated and they have taken the time to educate themselves or listen to those who are educated, and then to watch a woman and then hundreds of women become empowered, and it's no longer about the aesthetic. It becomes more about the character development, the confidence, and what they can actually do functionally instead of aesthetically. That is what really gets me going. I love it.
Yeah. So we don't train to be good at the gym. We train to be good at life. Right?
Life, yeah.
All right. So talking about us women, midlife, resets, all of the peri, the post, the peri, the meno, the post, all of the about. So there's, of course, we can fill hours and hours of this, but what are
this is like an endless conversation.
What are some of the things that happens to our bodies, and what can women out there what are the most expected? I know there are tons of different symptoms, but what are the most expected things?
Well, I think for a very, very long time, we just have not had enough research. Let's say, I'm about to be 49. So the three of us are probably in the same sort of camp, of age group. Okay. Yeah, you're the oldest. And I can't recall any sort of education growing up that had anything to do with a woman aging through perimenopause and menopause, and very little discussion about menstruation.
Yeah. Oh,
gosh. Like, God, let's not talk about periods, like, God forbid. And so I think really what I think is happening now is that you're getting women, not just like us, but even women on higher platforms and women who have a broader, broader scope and audience, that we are really raising awareness of what does happen to us when we age. And something that I have younger girls, we have two young girls, one's about to be 9, one's about to be 5. And I just think it starts now. It starts when you are about to go through menstruation, when you are becoming you're becoming a young woman, and it starts by understanding that process first, and then understanding, your reproductive years, whether or not you choose to be a mother or not. Some people don't have that part of their story. We hold space for everybody. But understanding, your reproductive years, and then understanding as we do age, our ovaries produce estrogen. And so estrogen is the big kicker. And so when we start to enter in perimenopause, which this is a newsflash for a lot of women, perimenopause can actually start to happen in your 30s. Yep. And, some women, I have a friend, she's not 40 yet, but she's about to start menopause. She's got all the signals pointing in that way. So we have about maybe even a 10, some people 15 years to journey through this really great time of ours, perimenopause and menopause, but it really is starting with our ovaries. And so as our ovaries age and we are ovulating less and less, our estrogen is declining. So since estrogen is declining and progesterone is its yin and yang, we're having a lot of chaotic imbalance. And so that is probably your first signal that something is going a little funky and a little weird, maybe in your late 30s, where you're like, I'm super moody. My PMS really took a change on me. You know, it was so predictable, and now I'm very unpredictable. Yeah. You know, there's little tiny tweaks that you can start to see that you know, our aging starts to have on us. But, you know, really it's the declining of estrogen that is the top dog there.
Yeah. And what would you say are some of the things that physically that are, I mean, we know hot flashes. I think a lot of women, especially men, all they know about menopause is, oh, that's hot flash.
Yeah.
Hot flashes. So what other physical kind of inclinations?
Yeah, and I think hot flash is the thing that we've been so pegged with, and also it kind of like a myth too is that we're just going crazy. You know, it's a crazy time. You're like, oh, it's menopause, she's crazy. Yeah. You know, and actually that is showing us that cognitively we are having a hard time. Because estrogen and the receptors of your brain and then progesterone, so your hormones are like a big time seesaw effect. Our brain is getting hit. So not only some women don't have hot flashes, but they have flushes. And so you might not sweat, but you have this overwhelming, like stimulating heat, but there's no sweat. So hot flashes, cognitive, you know, a little bit of cognitive moodiness, depression, anxiety, those things are on a rise with perimenopause. Also with your PMS, you can start to feel really, really bad, like with the cramps, the fatigue. The flow could change completely. It could be like really, really wild and heavy, or it could be a little bit light. You're going to start skipping periods as well. Your cycle might be shorter and your cycle might be longer. You know, there's just really no one size fits all.
It's just wonderful.
Yeah, isn't that great? I love it. I love it.
And I will say, I have an IUD. A lot of women do after deciding, I mean, when we're done having kids. I never noticed anything. I still haven't noticed anything because it's really hard to tell. So sometimes if you've been on birth control, just kind of tracking your periods is not an option, because I haven't had one in very many years. So when I had my hormones checked, they were gutter. So but
you know, there's something about that though, Christina, that I think is kind of going into this conversation too. We are now looking under the hood, just like you did. You just recently went and got a full panel done.
Yep.
And that's good. Now, it doesn't matter what the results are. The point is that you went and you did it, you know, and a lot of times those hormones, it's not surprising to me when women come back and say they're in the gutter. They're like, really nothing's going on there. That makes sense because of where you are in life.
Yeah.
And so now what you can do is to support yourself to raise up those hormonal levels, that which you can do, or really look at your lifestyle and really look at your energy levels.
Yeah. And I will say, I was one of the ones that had no symptoms. Sleep. I did not sleep well.
And that's a big one. That's a huge one.
Yeah. And sleeping is, as we talked about on this podcast a lot, because Ingrid here is a notoriously bad sleeper, or she doesn't go to bed in time.
Not bad. I mean, I'm only sleeping like 4 hours.
Yes. She's going to change that. But it's so important, and that can really, that affected me.
Yes.
You get a little just stupid from not sleeping too. Sorry, Ingrid, but you do.
I was like, wait,
I get stupid when I don't sleep. I'm like, what? What's going on?
Well, when we see the sleep disturbances, what you can find is women will go to bed like a normal bedtime, and they can't fall asleep. You know, they just can't turn off the chatter in their brain. Maybe there's some heart palpitations, like, you know, you start going down the rabbit trail, and then all of a sudden you're in a stressful state. Well, you're not going to be able to fall asleep in a stressful state.
Yeah.
Or some women are waking up at 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning and not being able to go back into sleep. You know, it's normal to wake up. Okay, you're going to wake up. You might have to go use the bathroom, but can you fall back asleep? And that's something to really watch for.
Yeah. Yeah, I had that. I could not go back.
Yeah.
All right. So looking at your clients and women that you see, what are some physical issues that they express to you? What are the most common reasons why they come see you?
Their sleep. Ingrid, we need more than 4 hours.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm
But
trying.
it's just, yeah, I know we're laughing about it, but sleep is like so paramount to our health, you know. But I would say across the board, when I'm onboarding any woman, sleep is at the top 5. Sleep is really, really a struggle for many. Another thing is their body composition. They all of a sudden at, you know, sometimes 40, but 40, 50s and 60-year-olds are coming to me, and they've already taken care of all their kids. They've been the top mom, and or maybe they're not a mom, but they have really worked hard to become, you know, a high professional, you know, a woman that wants to achieve a lot. You know, this isn't just about mothers. And so I'm finding that women who come to me in their mid 40s to 50s have really just sacrificed a lot of their time to get to where they are. And so therefore they have had to take a step back when it's come to their diet, you know, nutrition and fitness. And so therefore their body composition has kind of suffered a little bit. So a lot of women are happy. And so I would say sleep, body composition, and just overall not feeling great, not being able to put their finger on it, but they're fatigued and they're not thriving.
Yeah.
And also, I'm getting a lot of women right now. I've noticed an uptick lately with the women in their mid 50s that they're actually being diagnosed with osteoporosis. And osteopenia. So
they need a weighted vest.
Yes. But I'm seeing I'm really seeing, and I took note of this
early.
Actually.
Isn't that really early?
It's not. That's the thing is because we go back to what we didn't know in our 20s and 30s. What if we knew a lot more in our 20s and 30s and paid attention a little bit more? I think we would start to see that that's less and less, you know.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, because you think of osteoporosis as an old lady disease.
No, I'm getting like mid 50s,
wow.
60 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, you think like 80s and frail little ladies. You think about.
Yeah.
That's early. Yeah.
Vital.
It's young.
Yeah, it is young. I think it's young too.
So when you have women like us coming in, what is your plan of action? How do you where do you start?
Well, you know, we start with a 30-minute consult, and it always goes to about an hour because, I mean, there's just so much information to gather from somebody that I'm about to onboard and start a partnership with, you know. But I really want to know how she's doing. I think just really asking the question, well, how are you? You know, like, and, you know, some women will be like, I feel great. You know, I feel like I'm on top of the world. And then a lot of women might just feel like, I just feel like I'm struggling. You know, I'm really struggling. I'm having a hard time managing my stress. I would put that in one of the top 5s too, is stress management. And so I go in and I really do not care about the number on the scale. I do not care if you're a size 2 or if you're size 22. It does not matter. What matters is, how are you doing? I do want to hear what your number one goal is. And we tackle diet first. Nutrition is the driver of the bus when it comes to all of this. Yeah. And I always say strength training or doing what you love when it comes to working out is the cherry on top. We really need to understand that the base is nutrition.
Yeah. And I think it was Dr. Gabrielle Lyon that says, because she's talking about muscle centric medicine and all that. And she's saying, well, everyone eats, not everyone works out. Everyone eats. So nutrition needs to be.
And I believe in everything Dr. Gabrielle is talking about. And, we as women, I think on average, and I don't know this isn't pertaining to us, because I think we have an idea of how much protein we should be eating. But on the average, women are eating like under 60 grams of protein per day.
Except for Christina Pernfors, who eats 160.
Exactly. Well, I said besides like at least the two of us. I don't know what Ingrid's doing, but
either she hasn't started tracking yet.
Yeah, well, we should talk. Just kidding. And it's not just about tracking. We do track macronutrients. As part of a form of coaching style that I do. But not every woman wants to do that meticulously, nor should we. I do not, I've been coaching for over 9 years, and I don't think that we should be tracking and being meticulous for the rest of our lives. I do think there's a time and a place for it though. And that's when, again, it goes back to the educating part, is that a lot of us, we didn't know what a portion size was, and so we need to revisit what is protein, like what foods have protein in it, what's a carbohydrate, what foods have carbohydrates, and that no food is bad or good, like there's no bad foods. What is fat? And then when you look at maybe even for the first time understanding what a processed food is, when you're like, oh, that has a lot of fat and a lot of carbs at the same time. And what are the carb sources there? Well, sugar, and so your eyes become more enlightened to really what you're putting in your body. But protein for, I would say, for everybody, definitely needs to become a higher priority, to keep that muscle mass, to even help us women with osteoporosis. That's going to be the number one thing to support your body with, is going to be that protein, and also that resistance, like the resistance training, to put more resistance on you so that our muscle mass is larger.
Yeah. So eat chicken while wearing your weighted vest.
Yes, oh my goodness.
Eat chicken. But eat other things than chicken too.
Although I love my chicken, but yeah. And I will say, I know a lot about nutrition, as we know from this podcast, and I've always been interested, and I've taught fitness all these years. But I think after having started with you, Shea, the learning aspect, it really, you don't know what you don't know. So the whole tracking, and I remember the first couple of weeks I was cleaning, I'm like, I like to cook. How am I going to track a recipes? One thing, if you have, here's a piece of meat, I can.
Right.
What about this? Until I understood that you can create that in the app.
Yeah.
Not that, but you really learn it's a very eye-opening experience.
It is.
Things that you think have a certain macronutrient or combination.
Yeah. And again, this isn't something as a coach I recommend for people to do for their life. It's not sustainable, and it's not healthy. But we're not doing it, and we're not taking this from an unhealthy perspective to create a problem. No. This is to really educate what food is.
Yeah. And you learn. So now I know I don't have to track, even though I'm still, because I'm a very, as you know, very type A. So I like to have correct information. But you learn. Now you can take a handful of something. And I know, like nuts. I was way overeating nuts before because I thought, well, they're so good for you. Well, now I know how much is a good amount, or even with chicken or with anything, you learn to see, like, okay, that's about what I should be eating right now.
Yeah.
But I think in many ways I've learned to eat more. I mean, I might have eaten the calories, but they would just been stupid calories, maybe, or just kind of mindless. But I think
yes, and that brings me, like what you're saying, really it kind of is the center of my coaching protocols and plans with women. You weren't eating enough. And so many women, when we're starting off, they are not eating enough. And it's just because we have always been growing up in this diet culture that small is best. And so if you're going to be small, then you got to eat small. You know, you can't eat large to be small. You got to be equal here. Yeah. But the problem with that is that we are doing our caloric ceiling a disservice, where we could be eating at a higher calorie rate and still see that body composition change, still see that strength and sleep improves and stress improves, but we're bottoming out. And so almost with all of the women that I onboard, I say, you're going to have to be patient. You know, you cannot step on the scale and expect that 10 pounds is going to go like that. We want to find your maintenance. I want to test it, and I want to study it as a coach. I want to study all the fluctuations when we're starting off, because I want to make sure we're starting up here instead of starting down here, because our metabolism does adapt.
Yeah. I think too is for myself, even when you were a vegetarian, I became a vegetarian because I was like, well, I kind of want to be smaller, so I'll just be a vegetarian. And then she comes up a few years later and says, I'm eating chicken. I'm like, eating what?
You mean 34 years later?
Like 34 years later. So I think a lot has to do with ignorance, because what you just said, a lot of women are thinking, oh, smaller is better. When you eat, oh, I'll just have, a little serving. And we've grown up that way. Society taught us that way. So come to find out, it's perfect, or it makes sense that at 55 somebody has osteoporosis, because society is like, oh, don't eat that, you should eat this, or have milk that's made out of powder because the cows are now not being fed. So we have all these things come into play, and we just it's ignorance. It's just plain old not knowing.
Well, it causes a lot of confusion. I don't even think that we're ignorant. I think that we have been just fed so many directions, not knowing. And it's like everything contradicts itself right now. It's like, I think that's another thing that I see across the board too, is that women think that they have to follow a certain diet by a name to see the best results. Yeah. And that's even with working out too. They want to know, Shea, what's the best workout? What's the best workout? I just need the best plan. I'm like, this is the best plan, and number one, the best plan is the one that you're going to stick to, by the way. It's not like, and the best meals are going to be the meals that you cook, instead of me handing you a diet plan and it's rigid and it says eat at this time and eat this toast with this special butter and that's not gonna last.
No, that's so true. And I mean, some evenings I'll say, when I plugged into my app, I'm like, shoot, I'm down 300 calories. Okay, I'm gonna have some more ice cream. I do my homemade ninja cream.
Love it. Yes.
Doesn't have any sugar. But no, and instead, before I could have looked at it as, oh yeah, I ate less today. I'm so willpower.
Yes.
But it really is the other way around. I'm shooting myself in the foot.
Yeah.
Increasing my metabolism.
And women, and even if I were to follow that approach, I would crash and burn so fast. I mean, I'm turning 49 this year, but I still have 3 kids at home. I have 11, soon to be 8-year-old and soon to be 5-year-old. And you have to stay on top of your game. And in order to, have stable blood sugar and not to be moody, I need to make sure I'm eating enough calories.
Yeah. No, and it's fun to eat. I'm very happy that I get to.
Yeah, food is awesome.
and to what you said with the being small, and we've talked about the scale versus fat loss versus weight loss a lot before, but interestingly enough, and with Shea too, I started, as I've been talking about, weighing every morning. And before I hated, because it was always a shock. Somehow you're like, really? What happened? Weighing yourself every morning is not a big deal, because not that much happens from one day to another. It's not going to be a shock to the system, but it's that constant checking in and keeping yourself accountable. And it's really, I think it's helped me a lot to take the drama and the trauma out of things. But interestingly enough, the scale has not moved.
No, not with you at all. And what it is, your body, you've dropped body fat percentage, so you look so much more compact than.
It's amazing. Even my husband says, as he should, of course. He's like, "Oh my God, you're so much smaller," and it's hard for me to see because you see yourself every day. But if I had gone on the scale and it hadn't moved, I would have been like, "What? What happened? It can't be smaller." But now, having seen it every day, I know I'm smaller. My food, my clothes fit, but my smaller version of myself weigh the exact same amount as the bigger version of myself.
And I have women that are like, "Shea, I don't want to weigh myself." I'm like, then let's don't. I don't require for me to join you in a coaching partnership for you to weigh yourself every day. Like, I can still coach you. You can still achieve the body composition that you want. And I think that there's a misconception about that. I think a lot of people are afraid to even get into a coaching relationship because they're afraid that they're going to have to weigh themselves every day. And that it's not the case.
Yeah, now you can. And I like the measurements too. You just use measuring tape. That really tells you whether or not you're bigger. But I think too, you can feel. I mean, you if you get stronger, you feel it. It's that we said, everyday things you do, you just feel stronger and more energetic, which is great. Even for someone like me who have been working out a lot, I just learned new ways to work out. And as I said, working lower body a lot more than I did before.
Because I work out for my sanity.
Yeah.
And you know what? Exercise is the #1 thing that actually increases your serotonin levels. So when you say sanity, that means that the exercise is actually helping your brain and your mood regulation.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because I've seen her say, "Oh, I measure this," and I'm like, I don't want to measure all that. If I measure at all.
Yeah.
However, I'd be open because I am almost mid 40s. I don't like food very much at all. I just eat because I have to.
She's not a foodie.
I'm not a foodie.
You do it just for survival.
Yes, but that's something I've learned as a child. So that's something that I've never been someone to be like, I'm so excited about measuring my food and how much protein I get, because that's not me.
Yeah. However, and there's so many other protocols for people in your shoes that sometimes, measuring your food can be very triggering for some people that even have disordered eating or eating disorders. Maybe they're healing from that. Maybe they're like you're not a foodie. You need to eat, but you're not interested in being meticulous about it. And so that comes back to the education piece. When there is a woman that expresses that, like in the onboarding process, that I will actually help her understand how to build her plate. You know, just by building your plate and looking down and being able to identify what a protein is, identify those vegetables, identify those carbohydrates. You do not have to weigh or track your food. You can learn a different method. And, you know, another thing that I wanted to point out as well for women, fiber is so important. And I see this with the older that I get and the women that I'm working with, you know, through the 40s, 50s, and 60s, that when our fiber is at an optimal level, we feel great. We're running smooth. I can see a noticeable difference in a body composition with a woman that eats higher fiber than she does lower fiber. You know, sometimes people have IBS and you have to work around that. But for the most part, you know, each individual that I've worked with who have made fiber and protein a priority, they feel great. They feel
it will be meat.
Yeah, it's you. If your gut is healthy, your brain's gonna be healthy. There's a connection here, you know. But even with body composition, that is really helping a lot of women.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I took.
She's super. Christina is super excited.
I am because I track my fiber too. It's
yeah.
Yes, I am not a D. I just you heard my hack today. I just took out half my planner because I started planning my month and then it just disappeared and it was like empty. I was like, I'm tired of looking at this empty calendar, what I didn't do. So I just took all those pages out. But I do get stuff done. I'm more of a just get it done. But I am not a D, or I'm not very organized, which is fine.
I mean, honestly, the world would be so boring. I mean, we all have to be different.
That's why she's my yin, I'm her yang.
Yes, that's right.
I never come. I used to not come prepared. It would drive her crazy. She didn't like me. She's like, "What do you mean you're not prepared?" I'm like, "This is how I run my life." She's like, "Okay." So we met in the middle. So we become really, really awesome friends.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that you can kind of tweak that, because for me, hearing you saying you have to track and I was like, I am not. Like, that's just, it gives me anxiety just thinking.
Yes.
Measuring the scale.
It's fun.
Yeah, no.
It's fun. I'm gonna travel with a little scale.
See, I'm getting a hot flash now just thinking.
But you know, Ingrid, you're not alone. I mean, I've worked literally with hundreds of women, over the last 9 years. And I would say the majority of them feel the same way that you do, that it causes a little bit of anxiety. It makes you feel like you have to be prepared all the time. And to me, it's very robotic, you know, and I just think, you know, we're not robots to begin with. So there's so many avenues to go around that. There's so many methods, and which is wonderful for us, because that means that we don't have to do it one size fits all.
Just like there are tons of different exercises.
Exactly.
Exercises, ways. But I think what you said and what it comes down to is the educational part.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know.
And that makes a big difference, understanding that, because we're so huge on that, on education with our children, you know, with what I do for work as a makeup artist, esthetician.
Yeah.
People come in and like, oh, this, and I'm like, oh no, this is why you should do this, and this is what happens.
Yeah,
this is what causes it.
Yeah.
So as you're explaining it, it seems a little more intriguing to be like, you know what, maybe just knowing. No, because it is scary. I will be honest. I mean, I've heard you talk about it, and I'm just like, yeah, no. But when you start listening, why you should, even though I understand some of the stuff, knowing the steps that are having to be taken, that you've taken, is a little scary. And then listening to you, I'm like, huh, okay. So it gives us both. If somebody's listening and is like Christina, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about measuring. But then they hear Ingrid, I'm like, yeah, no, I don't think I want to measure so much.
I don't know what happened.
it gives a bigger
you're
spectrum.
Back. You're there. We see you. Can you hear us? Oh, did we lose audio? Can you hear us? Okay. Oh, can you hear us?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we hear you. Can you hear us?
We can fix that.
Can you hear us? Hello? Can you hear us? Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, we hear you. Can you hear us? Hello? Can you hear us? Hello? Where is the chat?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened.
No worries.
No, you're good.
We can cut that out.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, I hope they can edit that out.
Yeah. We do it. We edit ourselves. We're just multi-talented.
But I think at the end of that, it just gives other women hope. Because when you look for a coach or when you talk about
let's
coaching,
do this. Let's do this. Now you know when you edit. Go ahead.
Okay. So it's exciting to know that there's other avenues. When you think of a coach, you think it's like what you said, measuring and the app. And for someone like myself, I would tend to just say, yeah, that's just not what I want to do.
Yeah.
So it's been really nice talking with Shea and understanding, okay, well, there might be a little hope for someone that's not not only as prepared, but not really coming from a place that's something that sounds scary to me. So being open to be like, okay, well, if I learn what to do, it's probably going to be a little bit more work. But as we age, obviously we know it's really important to do so, because if not, I'm going to pay probably a heavier price for health if I don't do something now.
And it's like you ask yourself, what would you do for prevention?
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I'd pretty much try anything if I could prevent, something that I knew that was going to hit me later down the line. Or how would you raise your child, and what kind of palate and diet would you want them to start off with? I don't think it's any different pertaining to us when it comes to like the education piece. We can educate ourselves by understanding some problems. Once you understand the root causes of some problems, and then you figure out a way that actually helps and relieves those problems, I think we're more inclined to make changes than not.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can see that.
So speaking about prevention, what are some things for the younger listeners, or things that you wish that women knew early on to start preventing some of these kind of things happening?
Yeah. So I think a lot about this as I'm a mom to, 3 young kids. And it's not just, just to girls, but even to our son, that I don't expect their diets to be 100% awesome. And in fact, I'm responsible for most of that, since they're, so young and we're taking care of them, their dad and I. But if we as women could learn early on how important sleep is. Sleep is so restorative to our brain. It helps regulates our hormones. It really, really does help when it comes to building muscle. Sleep helps even with losing fat. Sleep is probably the number one thing that people struggle with the most. It is just, there's so many reasons why too. So I think sleep would be one of the biggest preventative measures that I would educate and share with younger women. Another thing is to be more in tune with yourself. Really don't be so busy, and don't be so busy climbing the ladder professionally either, where you are literally burning yourself out. That stress, that chronic stress, and that cortisol and that trying to keep going without taking care of yourself and listening to yourself. Am I tired? Oh, well, maybe I should check on X, Y, and Z and make sure that those things are covered before I move on. Another thing would be strength training. And I think that, I am a strong component of women doing what they love, because I really want women to stick with it. I want them to find a sport or a workout that if group fitness is your jam, I don't want to take that away. But what I want to do is make sure that there's weights involved. We want to add that resistance and that weight to ourselves so that we can build lean muscle mass. Because if we can build lean muscle mass, then that's going to protect us against some of these aging diseases. And as women, cardiovascular disease is high. And so not just doing cardio alone. We want cardio and we want weights. We want to make sure there's some muscle mass.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so important to do early. I'm telling Bella now. Yeah, it's great to be running and doing all that, but you got to do something.
Same thing with mine.
Yeah. And not to be, it's really hard to say, because a lot of women come with a lot of childhood trauma as teens, and then maybe going into their early adulthood, that they've tried a lot of diets, and some of them have gone down really unhealthy patterns as far as trying to make sure that they were a certain size and certain, they needed to be really thin. And so I think as I am raising these 3 young kids, that we really need to be careful what kind of boundaries we're setting for ourselves as women who are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, as well as educating the girls coming up.
Yeah.
Making sure what we say reflects really good health.
Yeah.
That conversation really gets me. That I really hope and pray that our kids can grow up in a better environment. Like diet culture, I think diet culture is changing, but I think it has a long ways to go. So.
Yeah, we're not there. I will say I had a really proud mama moment the other week. So Bella had my daughter Bella is 15. She had a friend over, and her friend is a little bit chubbier, but she said, "Oh, I want to lose weight, Bella." And then she's saying, "I got to lose some weight." And I hear my Bella go, "Well, you shouldn't just stop eating. You just need to eat more protein, and you just need to work out, do some more strength training." I'm like,
just do this.
Did I hear that? She's like, "Yeah, no, you shouldn't diet. No one should ever diet."
No, you shouldn't diet.
Yeah, you should just eat more protein. You need to concentrate on the protein. I'm like,
awesome.
That's
wow,
awesome.
my job here is done. No,
that's great.
I have a friend. Does she do it herself? That's another story.
But it's nice to know that she's
at least some of it's sunk in.
Yeah, and the thing is that it doesn't matter what shape or size we are. Who's to say what's the best shape, what's the best size? I just did a post on this that I do support some of the body positivity stuff that is out there in neutrality. However, I do draw a line about something. If it's to the detriment of your health, then I do not support it.
Yeah.
And just because you are considered obese from, health care's, BMI, chart, that does not matter to me. What matters is, what does under the hood look like? What do all of your metabolic markers look like? Can you get up fast and move fast? That's important. Like, can you get up from the ground to your standing? If you can do that, I don't care what size you are. Like, just as long as that you aren't becoming a chronic diseased person because of that. I think that there are so many beautiful people in this world that are at a different size than some, and people would stereotype them and say they're unhealthy. But honestly, those people can be much more healthier than the physique goal-oriented person.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. And we've talked about this a lot before too. And you can see super skinny people can be extremely unhealthy.
They're so unhealthy.
Yeah.
And, I think we look at the sport and the physique, the physique sports. I can see some good in it, but a lot of the people that are doing it, it's not health. That is not, and that's what our society is teaching us, that is what health is, but it's not. That is going to all extremes to get your body fat percentage to such like a single digit.
Yeah.
Your hormones aren't working well as a woman. You're not sleeping well. You're angry and moody, and all kinds of things start to shut down. That is not health. That's not health.
Yeah.
I think the only non-fat thing I have is my feet. My feet are like skinny feet. That's it. But I will tell you, with having I have 3 children myself, and I teach them more about nutrition than I do myself. However, it is what's caught in the house. So I'm very well aware of that.
Yeah.
So, but I am very good with them as far as nutrition. I let them have their little treats and stuff, but they all play sports, a lot of sports. And I always really keep them with weightlifting, cardio, and I teach them how to eat really well. I just have to
listen to your own advice.
I have to listen to my own advice.
Yes.
So
yeah.
So we will chat, Ms. Shea. I will.
Yeah.
There's an open door for you.
Thank you.
So we talked a little about, a lot of the things we talked about, and also starting early, but what are some other action steps that if you are in Ingrid's position or anywhere in our position, you're kind of in that perimenopause stage. It's going to happen soon.
Yeah.
And can I just say too, we talked about some women becoming mothers or not. Yes, you can read a lot on pregnancy and prenatal care. Not every woman becomes a mother. But every woman who lives is going to go through menopause.
Yeah.
So this is 100% of the women.
And even women who have had hysterectomies and they've had some decisions to make concerning their uterus at a younger age, they still go through certain symptoms of menopause. So it's still very relevant to, like you said, every woman.
Yeah.
You can't really escape that. But I think like some actionable steps that I would do to optimize any woman's health is to make sure you're eating adequate enough protein. I would recommend a whole foods diet. The more optimally you eat, we know you're going to run better. Like you're going to function better. You put junk in, junk is going to be flying out. And really having a rich fiber diet, staying hydrated, sleep, and managing stress.
Yeah. Yep. So get a few to work on there. No, and as you said, I think exercise is one of the absolute best stress relievers. Even just out walking. Just moving the body is such a huge
I do try.
Stress. Yeah. I'm not saying you're not trying. That has never been. I'm just saying you just need to reprioritize it.
Yeah, and it all comes down to as well. I do this practice sometimes with some clients that are kind of, I can relate with you, Ingrid. I'm thinking of a couple clients as we're talking, that I will actually have them close their eyes and try to envision, who do you want you to be when she's 85? What do you want her to look like? It's okay to have a physical image of her. What do you want yourself, let's make her look really good. But how do you want to see yourself moving, the family around you, make sure they're there, think about some pipe dreams that you hope that you will have already experienced, but maybe not. Maybe you'll experience it when you're 70 or 80. But I always say, chase her, go after that person. I'm pretty sure that person is mobile and moving around and looking like they're happy. And in order to have that, there's just things to put in your path on a day-to-day basis that become rhythms. And you don't start up here. You're going to start down here, and you're going to layer each step and each habit until you don't even think about it. It becomes your culture. It becomes just, second nature, who you are. It's the expectation that your kids will just know, well, mom's off doing this because that's what she loves now. She's grown to love X, Y, or Z. But I think when we can close our eyes and envision that older us, I really think that's powerful.
That is great. So you're going to be 85. I'll be 92. So where are we going to be? Are we going to be rocking it somewhere in the
rock climbing?
We're going to be rocking. Nah, I'm not sure.
It's okay if you're doing yoga. I mean,
are we at a nightclub somewhere for seniors? Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe we're on a cruise.
Yeah, cruise sounds good.
Yeah. No, that's a great vision to have, to really see yourself as. No one wants to see ourselves as the old, frail person that everyone has to take care of.
No.
We want to be the independent one who can move out. Yeah. No, that's a great one.
Sounds fair.
Yeah. This is anything else, Shea? I think we've covered so many great aspects and given everyone hope, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we all have hope. And there's a lot of help out there for us.
Yes.
We have hormone replacement therapy. We have menopause replacement therapy. We have ways to help us sleep. We have really good food out there to fill ourselves with. And we have opportunity. It's opportunity. We have the opportunity to go out and get stronger. The stronger you are as you age, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah. Yes.
Dun, dun,
dun, dun.
And I'm not speaking as a 20-year-old. I'm speaking as I'm knocking on the door of 50. So,
well, you're welcome into 50. It's not as bad as you think. The transition was not that awful.
I'm excited.
It was fine. Now you're old enough to not care about what other people think, right?
No, I'm not there yet.
I'm a little bit to go. That's okay. So, Shea, we're gonna link in the show notes. But what is the best way? For people to connect with you?
So my email address is shay@bia-body.com, or you can find me on Instagram, where I do a lot of education and empowering with women at Shea nutrition _coach.
Great. Yeah, we'll link that too in the
that'd be great
show notes. Yeah, and I found Shea through Holly Baxter, who's I guess a fitness influencer, but she's a nutritionist too.
Yeah,
it's someone who's really good to follow on
is.
Instagram as well. She's very I really like her. She's very inspirational. And she's got quite a few. She's got some muscle on herself.
Yeah, and it's her profession, I think.
Yeah, but I love her approach to it is very.
Yes, she's super educational. You're not going to get anything less but the best education from her. Yeah. And she created a women's team, and we're loving what we're doing. I wanted to say, if anybody is interested in coaching or wants to connect with me, I will definitely honor a really nice discount for being on Christina and Ingrid's show. I love to spread the love.
That's awesome. And she comes highly recommended by me.
So just let me know that you're coming to me through this show, and I will gladly gift you something.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. And last question, of course. Last but not least, high heels or flat?
We discussed this as a family last night. And everybody said I don't wear either. So I'm gonna go with. I really love to put on a pair of heels, like if for date night or anything like that. But I am so in the business of practicality right now that I'm going to go more for the flats, if not a little trail shoe on them, you know, a little spike. But I'm all about just being functional with how busy I am right now.
All right.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
But, yeah, I do have a private little shoe closet that has all the ones I love, though.
Yes. I love my shoe closet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Shea, for taking your time. And there's a lot of great information, and there's hope for everyone. And may we all grow not just older, but stronger.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much.
Thank you.